So one of the questions I most often get from people going into ministry is, if I could look back, 10 or 15 years when I got into the ministry, what is one thing that I wish that I'd known or wish that somebody told me? I can usually think of a couple dozen, but I know that we probably have 2 or 3 that really stand out. So,
yeah, I think for me, it's as I go on in the ministry, is to realize how big a deal it is for Satan and his attack on me to bring me to a state of discouragement. He'll use my sin, other people's sin, unmet expectations to get me discouraged, and that is incredibly debilitating. And to know that that's where it's coming from would help protect me. Say, okay, I know you're trying to get me down, trying to get me out of the game, because we have impenetrable armor from Ephesians 6. We have in 2 Corinthians 10 irresistible offensive weaponry. The only thing Satan can do is keep us out of the game, and he does that by discouragement. So watch out for discouragement in ministry.
That's good.
Yeah, there's something for me. When I was 25, I'm 52 now. I got to be the oldest guy here, right? Well, how old are you?
50.
So I'm the old man now. I keep thinking I'm not, but I am. When I was 25, I wrote Joe Bailey. Nobody young's going to know him now, but I said, I'm going into ministry. What do I need to know? Your very question. Mm-hmm. One of the things he told me that stayed with me all these years is he says, I'm not happy when people go into ministry and they have all this early success. And then he wrote me and said, I think God tends to train people the way he always has. He puts you in some obscure, out-of-the-way place, like he did for Moses. And you're there 40 years. And then that person is ready to go. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That's really, if I was to tell a guy who's young, he's 21 right now, I remember being there. I remember wanting to change the world. That was everything to me. Mm-hmm. The world was going to change as a result of my engagement with the gospel. Mm-hmm. And what God has really done is he just plants you in one little place. He keeps you out of the way, and he wants you to work there for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wish I would have known, is the longevity of faithful service is the way God prepares us to do the work.
Wow.
And there's no shortcut. I've never forgotten it. It's been a great help to me over the years.
Yeah, that's great. I kind of maybe tagging along with that, I wish I had understood. Maybe they tried to explain it to me, but I just didn't get it. How ministry, pulpit ministry, exacerbates the idols of the approval of men and the flesh. Because when I surrendered to go to ministry, that was what we called it in my tradition. I thought, man, I'm getting to the cross before me and the world behind me, and it's poverty and just you get in there, and then people are praising you, and things are. And I just realized that ministry is a great place for guys with the idol of success to hide and then to feed that in the name of the flesh. And the Lord and I have had a few really devastating battles, or He's had to devastate me to be like, I need to put you back in the wilderness for a while. The other. Go ahead.
There's a great value when you think you're consciously competent, to all of a sudden get those moments of clarity where you're not, and then just go build from there again. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Just preaching recently through Isaiah and looking at Hezekiah and how he got arrogant after God delivered Jerusalem by the angel of the Lord. And it says in Chronicles, God left him to test him, to know what was in his heart. And that 3-step, God left him, pulled back a little to test him and know what was in his heart, and it's not good.
Wow.
It's not to show you what a wonderful person you are, but what came out was pride. Or
I think it was, wasn't it Manasseh who said, when you were small in your own eyes, then these things happen, but now you're large. Yeah.
So think of Jesus' words to Peter 3 times. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Our love of Christ, according to the word of Christ, will be evidenced in our giving ourselves to our people. Tend my sheep, feed my lambs. So you're young, you want to love Christ, you want to change the world, give your heart to his people. I need to remind myself of that every day. Lord, bond my heart to these people. That's what you've got to do. It's a people work, not a change the world work.
Something you said a minute ago, David, reminded me too of something I think, or it's attributed to Martin Luther. I'm not sure if he's the one that said it. But speaking to a group of his pastoral students, he said, never aspire to teach the church at large. pastor your congregation. And if you got something that the church at large needs to hear, they'll come to you. And I've just thought so many times I've gotten caught up in thinking like, oh, I wonder how to speak here, do that. And just saying, God has given me, this is the congregation. I need to just put my head down, dig deep in here.
That's right.
Beautiful.
And at the very, very end of your life, I don't know if we will die in a deathbed. You don't know, but you might be in an accident. But if you know your end is near and your family's around you and you're breathing your last, you're going to be thinking about one thing: justification by faith alone, apart from works. That's what it's going to come down to. Your time of service is over, and it'll be Christ.
Wow.
And that's it.
That's great.
Look, can I just throw one last thing?
Yeah.
People are not always what they appear to be. I wish I had known that. On the positive and the negative. Over now decades of ministry, people that you don't think God's going to get a lot done through in your congregation become the pillars that hold up the church. And there's an element where you think, wow, that's where all the change is going to happen, and it doesn't occur. So you just got to remember that. Love the people, give yourself to the people. They're not always who you think they are. But while there's a lot you'd like to know when you're early.
That's right.
But the Lord will teach you. No, He will.
Yeah, that's good. There's some real wisdom in that.